Satsang-35. The persistent wish is called desire. 5th December, 1934. Morning Satsang. When there is a wish in the mind, day and night, that is called desire or karma. When the mind constantly runs from one object to another, that is desire. One who has no desire is silent. Mecca and Medina, holy places of pilgrimage, are far away, but it is necessary to go into the holiness. The one who pursues the fulfilling of desire is the individual. One who has no desire is God, Shiva. Fire is fire, cotton is cotton. Knowledge is fire, as it destroys all action, all karma. The 6 qualities that arise in space, desire, anger, greed, enticement, pride, and sorrow, are in the nature of the individual. When we get something, we feel increased desire, and if we don't get it, we feel regret and sorrow. These qualities are intermixed with each other. Therefore, desirelessness is the sign of godliness, of abidance in the self. To have desire is the sign of the individual, the jiva. All worldly pleasures are related to the individual. They are not of the self. One who knows oneself to be beyond all attributes, beyond the gunas, becomes free from sense-object enjoyments. Enjoyment of objects makes for the limiting of the self. To think of objects is raja guna, while to think of the self is sattva guna. When one realizes that Brahman is the only true joy in life, he becomes Brahman. One then dislikes sense pleasures derived from objects. I have told you before of the 8 spiritual powers. Those who practice devotion, as told by the Master, get all of these powers naturally. They are all pervading. The space beyond the sky, which is listening in all, and the mind of the minds of all. To know this is called clairaudience. I am the eye of the eyes of all. When one realizes the self, he gets clairvoyance. One who knows that he is the inner urge of all the minds, he gets the power of control over the mind with this conviction. The realization that I am Brahman, eham brahmasmi, is itself the conquest of the mind. To think that it is the body that acts, this is ego. The concept, I am the body, I am acting as a body, is ego. To realize that I am without a body is the state of Brahman. One who knows that he is the essence of all forms and the destroyer of all forms is truly the occupier of all forms and gains God's power. Rama, Krishna, and others conceived of themselves as Atman by their firm conviction. They attain the state of the Supreme Self. Those who come to know Brahman should remain as Brahman and feel unity with all the atoms and subatoms of the world, which are made up of the 5 elements, without any reference to a particular entity. The realized one does not feel separate from existence. To have the desire of knowing what is in another man's mind, and to have such a capacity, is as if to go away from oneself. When you are in all beings, where is the need to know the thoughts in another's mind, when there is no other? There is only one undivided self. Brahman is spread out everywhere. So what other is there to know? There is the imagined person in you, and you as the self are there. Do not become that person projected by your imagination. It is not that I should be Brahman, but that the I should be dead. And actually, the I is itself an illusory, imagined entity. I is the essence of what is called sin. It demands more and more sensory enjoyments, which only kindles more and more desire for sensual pleasures. This false I is very greedy. Give up this I. It cannot be slain by any weapon, but it dies as soon as you understand it very subtly. This understanding is not so easy to come by. So your task is to make into Brahman that which is already Brahman. You cannot turn that which does not exist, the false I, into Brahman. This is the subtle difference. This does not require spiritual powers. As Brahman is pervading everywhere without division, spread out with no separate parts, who is to search whom and where? Who is to know whom? where is the sense of otherness to be found? How can there be anything that is called second, that is separate from the one? And how can it know another? There is only Brahman everywhere, without any movement. Then what can be known as other, as separate? Know this subtle difference. Here, there is no more knowing and not knowing. That one Brahman is all-pervading. There is none other to know or not to know. Lord Krishna says, by steadfast concentration on the self, one gets the strength of the self. He attains the power of taking any form by concentrating on any form. When a yogi takes the form of vayu or prana, the vital air, and goes anywhere in any body, he is said to have the power of consciousness entering another body. However, the one who has very strong faith in one's true nature sees only me, the self, Krishna, everywhere. If a man realizes that he is in everyone, where else can he go? Whose mind does he need to read when it is confirmed that there is none other than one's own self?